Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining our podcast, Moms on the Move. I'm Jen Wills.
And I'm Jennifer Zesk.
We have a guest here that's already been with us.
Absolutely.
Amber Johnson Michels is back, and we are going to talk about the Lighthouse Effect.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yes, and your Peace of Mind project.
Mm-hmm.
So that company's doing amazing.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah.
It's been going for 6.5 years now.
That's so great. So she does like postpartum.
Postpartum support. So it was built by way of just services that I thought I needed when I was going through severe postpartum depression. So that's the basis of it. So we started doing baby planning, and I liked it, but I didn't love it because I didn't really feel like I was able to connect on an emotional level with the moms in a way that I wanted to. So as of now, we do nanny placement. That's a full-time gig. I have Lindsay Neely. She's incredible. She's been doing that for me for 5 years, and we do that all over the country. And I am doing way more just postpartum empowerment, mentoring, coaching, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I'm jumping into this year.
That's
Everything
awesome.
mamas.
Everything mamas.
She's very like supporting of moms, but then like the other flip side that I'm just so like love about you is just like the empowerment and support you have of all women who like put themselves out there. Like you're always like encouraging and building, women up, and I love that.
Thank you. I feel like,
important.
and I know you two can relate to this, when you feel called to do something, it is a gift. And I feel incredibly blessed to be able to literally hop out of bed every morning and to really tap into like, what is my why today? I always have a checklist, and the first and last question, how am I going to affect change today? And that is literally like my mission.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not, because I feel like it can be something as simple as like writing a little note in my daughter's lunchbox, like, you rock, have a great day. Or a mom reaching out to me and having some severe postpartum issues, and me just connecting with her on a level that just makes sense to her and makes her feel like she's just not alone.
Yeah. Did you ever have postpartum?
No. My mom thought I did with my second one, but I don't think so, because I've talked to many that have, and it just didn't feel that way.
Right.
You would know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think there was always a myth about it, because I think like, people associate postpartum with like not bonding.
Yes, that's so true.
And so for that reason, when I had it with my third, I was like, no, that's not it. Like my mother-in-law kept saying, I think, you need to talk to someone. I'm like, no, because I like fully feel attachment to them.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
But it showed up in just different ways. Like,
and I think that's the issue in itself, is that it shows up in so many different ways.
Yep.
And the lack of education that is available to new moms, especially a first-time mom. I feel like we have this vision of how it's supposed to go, and it never goes that way, right?
No.
And so that compounded with feeling, mine was anxiety. It was crippling. I wasn't able to leave the house for months. I always had these horrible thoughts in my head. I didn't think that I was being the mom that I envisioned myself being.
Like guilt.
Absolute guilt.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what, like it's creeping in, you'll make excuses. I know.
You're so right.
Yeah.
You'll think, oh, well, I've just had a bad day, or I'm tired, or
I'm not sleeping. I think that's a big
this is
thing.
normal.
Mm-hmm.
You'll blow it off, not realizing that it's every day that goes by, it could become more severe.
Very true.
Well, it's funny, even like last week, we were just saying how open we are. So like last week I went to Brio, my medical. Yeah. So she's like,
I know Brio.
How are you? And I was like, I'm all right. Like, I think there's just like situational depression right now, maybe.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Because we were just talking, like Greenville County, the kids weren't in school because it took 8 weeks to get them back in school after it snowed.
Right.
Which was great. So I kept thinking, okay, well, it's like the fact that they've been home. We came off Christmas. They were home for Christmas forever. And I think we even got out early for Christmas because they wanted to shut school down, at least one of them, because of COVID.
Oh,
so they were home
and everybody getting sick.
Everyone was
everyone getting sick as well.
Snotty noses and coughing and
and like my 2-year-old, we were talking earlier, and he's like, he's a terror. He's horrifying. I could talk to you daily about
He's precious.
He's just so bad and mean. He hits me all the time.
He's precious.
But I know there's hope because Bennett's 7, and when he was this age, he was also terrible. It was my middle one that was so easy. But now Bennett's great. So I like look at Bo and I'm like, okay.
Time.
Yep. You're going to be okay. Like, you beating me with your shoes is only going to be temporary. And like going to the, fridge and like pushing the water, and then he pushes that, makes a puddle, slips in it, and then he cries. And it's just, it's nonstop. So we're trying to deal with Bo, doing like the virtual learning with Bennett. So I went to the doctor and I was just like, I think it's like just situational. And she's like, well, that's a choice if you want to live like that or if you just want a little help right now. And I was like, oh, okay. Like if you word it like that, I guess I'll just... help, please.
Yeah. And how often do moms use the word help? Think about that.
Right.
Like, let that sit with you for a minute, because moms do not use the word help. I don't
honestly,
say I need help.
I wouldn't have gone if they didn't make me come in.
Exactly.
So, like, I would have just kept, like, marching on.
And to her point, like what she was saying, it compounds.
Well, you think you're supposed to rise up and do it and handle it,
right?
And a lot of times we can.
Yes,
we actually do. But always room for
options.
help.
Absolutely,
there's always room for help. I remember when I went to my GYN way back, and he said, "You will need help throughout your life." Starting, I went to him at the time then, but I think it was the eating disorder or my behavior.
Sure.
But we didn't really know a whole lot then. But he said, you're going to be back, and then you'll be back again, because life changes and you will need help. So embrace it and be ready for it. And then he told me that in my 20s.
Yeah.
So, even
like new moms and moms, I feel like you're constantly changing.
Yes, absolutely.
So like the expectation, like, oh, with my first, I was like this. Well, situations probably changed. So you're a different person anyway. So you're can't compare yourself to how you were. I mean, I think about all the time, like how I used to be with Bennett as a mom. And I'm like, is it just like my elderly age now? My lack of patience, whatever it is. But in my head, I was just like such a better mom to Bennett, I don't know. It's just the pressure of it all.
I understand.
We literally grow. I tell my clients this every 3 months. You will change. You will never stay the same. You do grow, even if it's minuscule.
Yeah.
You will never stay exactly where like today. We will not be the same person tomorrow.
I love
3
that.
3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. It always gives you hope to know that we're not stuck.
But also giving them permission. I feel like a lot of moms need permission to grow. I feel like it's really hard sometimes if we are going through kind of a rebirth within ourselves to then apply it to our everyday life. And in the beginning, it may not make sense and it may not feel very comfortable, but to have someone like you in Women's Corners to say, actually, this is very common. Oh my goodness, I would have loved to hear that a million times over, right?
Yep. I know. And I think like also like the generation before us was very
martyrdom.
Yeah, like they were I know like my family, like they just didn't really talk about stuff. You just kind of dealt. You deal with it, you're fine. Right. And then I remember when I was like, Mom, I think I have like postpartum, and it was just like, what? Because I don't think she talked about it with her friends.
Sure.
So it just seemed like, no, you don't. You're fine. You're always fine. And
you just snap out of it.
Right. I mean, it was nothing, obviously like they did. It was just now we're like normalizing it more. So
thank God.
I know. So tell us about the Lighthouse Effect.
Sure. So interesting. Last year, oh my goodness, I could say it felt like 500 years, right? The last 2 years have just felt very heavy. It's just been a heavy few years for us, And, with the Peace of Mind Project, that business is going really well, and I'm so grateful for that. But I always felt like the outreach for Greenville, by way of just support for like the whole entire community of moms, like that's something that we weren't doing. And it hit me because of COVID. I kept getting calls from women who were super pregnant or super postpartum, like a few weeks out postpartum, or even their husbands.
Okay.
So-and-so referred me to you. I have no idea who you are or what you do, but my wife is not well. And it was so postpartum and COVID related. And I would go to their home, and this is how all of this honestly was born. I would go to their home. I would sit with the mom. I would cry with the mom. I would hold the mom. And I would try to normalize what she was going through, prefacing it by saying, I'm not a therapist, but I'm a mom. And I've been doing this job for 6.5 years, and I've gone through it. So I'm kind of your layer of support where you can just say whatever you want, but also know that, you know, hey, me too. And that started happening more and more. And it's interesting. It started with wives, and then it was more and more husbands, which I was so proud of husbands for doing.
That is great.
It gives me chills talking about, because I do think that we're stepping into a new age where spouses are going to be forced to be more hyper aware of their spouse's emotional well-being. We have no choice.
Right.
So from there, I was like, I have to build a program where I'm available virtually, where they can like log on to a program, and that's going to have a bunch of just resources, a step-by-step guide of like how you rock postpartum, also a big level of accountability, because I feel like we need that.
Yeah.
And it's going to just consist of daily routines. I have switched my daily routine in the last 2 years. It has helped immensely. I cannot say that enough. So that's really how it was born. It is under the Peace of Mind Project, but I kept thinking of the word lighthouse because I wanted to be the light.
Right.
I want to be that house that everyone can see. And if they need me, I'm a click away, I'm a call away. Their husbands don't have to chase me down. And there is a program, you know, available to them. So that is like the first layer of the Lighthouse Effect. The second layer is going to be completely event driven. And the events are going to cater to every type of mom, a mom that is in the throes of postpartum, you know, let's say 0 to 4 weeks or 0 to 12 weeks, a mom who has a toddler who just needs resources. You know, through what I've done for so long, I know all of the best in Greenville, and I'm constantly sending people to them. So why don't I build a program around it?
Right.
They'll have play dates for stay-at-home moms during the day. We're really excited to have play dates for nannies with their children that they're watching during the day. Another thing we found was that nannies are very isolated. All they do is hang with the child. And if they don't know their community, it can be really depressing. So we're building that for them. Which is how a lot of stay-at-home moms feel. Absolutely. And then we'll have probably once a month, like a night out, like painting at Vino and Van Gogh, or maybe a Saturday morning of yoga and champagne. I just know that there's a need, and I hear about it all the time. And very typical of me and my personality, I'm like, okay, how do we fix it? So I feel like the Lighthouse Effect will be that extra layer to where I can just reach more moms.
Yep. So you already started this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are some events coming up?
So I'm literally getting a list of events today from my 2 ambassadors that I brought on.
Okay.
And we will probably launch, you know, the list at the beginning of next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
I know.
That's great. So you just talked about your routine, which has changed your life. Tell me everything.
It has changed my life. At night, I do not look at my social media for at least an hour before I go to bed. I am really, really, really limiting my social media in general. It has been a very toxic relationship for me for a really long time. I think for moms, for women, there is this comparison trap that we all fall into, and it's just unnecessary. So I'm really, really trying to just not put my time and energy into it unless it's like scheduled on my calendar. So that's another thing.
Okay.
So I do a brain dump at night. The brain dump is just like, what do I need to get done the next day? Because I found I'm laying in bed, running through it and being like, don't screw that up. Don't miss that. So I do a brain dump. There's a journal right next to my bed. I dump it all out. The next morning, I call it my intention journal. How do I affect change? What are my intentions for today? What am I grateful for?
That's amazing.
That's what I do with every client. Well, I do it, but I also do it with every client because it gets you on the proper positive footing first thing in the morning, and it can change the dynamic of your day just writing.
And something that simple. And I make my bed every morning. I've been doing that for 2 years. I make my bed every single morning.
I need to do that.
I do that.
I do that. The kitchen's clean the night when I go to bed. Like these little things that take, honest to God, 5 minutes.
Yes.
But let me tell you, when I drop the kids off at school and I'm starting my day, everything's done.
Yes.
I have my calendar. I have my schedule of when I am allowed to look at my social media. And I do not deter from that. That has helped me immensely.
It feels good. You just saying these things, I'm thinking if I did that, I might feel good about me.
Mm-hmm.
And
in
this
the morning.
is
I
a
look back
really
and did it.
funny
Right.
one. This is going to sound really funny, but I am a huge Mel Robbins fan.
Yeah. She's great.
That woman,
She's
just amazing.
My mother-in-law constantly sends me her quotes. Always.
She's just incredible.
You know what one I really liked? I think you posted it. It was when she held out her hand.
The pills.
Yep.
Yes.
She held out her hand and said, like, you know, wanting to normalize this.
Yes.
And this, you know, this is the person I am. And she held out what helps her. I mean,
She has an incredible story. She
This is
started
me.
from nothing.
Uh-huh.
She tried, got up, tried, got knocked down, tried, got knocked down, is finally living the life that not only she's imagined, but she's meant to live, which I think is so empowering when we get to that place in our life.
yeah.
But she does this thing where she high fives herself in the
Oh,
mirror.
yeah. Yeah.
And okay,
So do you do that?
I do that.
Yes. Well, people talk
I didn't
about,
used
like,
to do it, but
complimenting yourself in the mirror.
just high five, high five, try it.
I'm amazing.
Yes. I know that
Look at
sounds
me.
so strange.
Yeah.
But
No, it's not strange.
You make
It's
your
wonderful.
bed first, get proud of yourself, and then go give
Yes.
yourself a high five.
Yes.
I have Post-it notes up on my mirror that tell me how great I am.
I need to start doing these things that help.
But I think honestly, the first thing for me was changing my relationship with social media. I cannot tell you how many women confide in me, and I'm so glad that I'm a safe space for them about social media.
Okay.
Not especially. I'm in Greenville, so it's going to be Greenville related. But
Yep.
just hearing how they don't feel like they fit in anywhere, or they weren't invited to this, or why didn't I get an invitation to this? Why wasn't my name on that list? It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks because I'm not wired like that. Thankfully, I don't think like that. But I think a lot of women do. And I'm like, well, first and foremost, how many hours a day are you watching social media?
Right.
Right. Stop
Well,
that.
it's also set up that way so to grab you in.
Absolutely.
Just don't look at it. Well, it's not created for just don't look at it. It's
No, you're
created
so right.
to keep looking. It draws you in and draws you in. And then you go down a rabbit hole that you would have never gone down if you would have never, spent more than 2 seconds looking at it.
You're so right.
Realize that it's completely fake. It's
Well,
not
you know
real.
what? Did you watch The Social Effect?
The Social Dilemma.
Dilemma. Yes.
I
The
started
Social
it.
Dilemma.
It terrified me. I couldn't watch it.
That's kind of what happened with us. I tried it once and then I stopped. And then we recently watched it again. But what I took away from it was the fact that there's just such like a calculation that they
yes.
have on you.
Mhm.
So they know when you're going to click on something and then they cater it more towards that.
Mhm.
They said that you are the product.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That they're manipulating.
Yes. So
Mhm.
I keep thinking that the whole time. I'm like, I'm the product.
Well, they're literally watching you.
They're
so to your
watching
point,
you.
if I click on Nordstrom, I'm like, oh, those boots are cute. If I
The
get on
next day-
Facebook, the boots are right there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and we can dive into this all day, but it does not, unfortunately, change this addiction because it is an addiction.
Well, they want you to be addicted.
Absolutely.
So, and I think
job
we're
well
going to do a
done.
podcast on this, aren't we? Aren't we having somebody on about social media?
We're
or-
doing internet safety.
Yeah,
Oh my
something
gosh,
like
I
that.
love that topic.
Yeah. And it's hopefully geared towards like kids. Yeah, kids,
Mhm.
because that's the kind of stuff. I mean, I'm terrible at computers and I'm just terrible at technology. But Bennett already, like the other day when we were trying to do his e-learning, he's like, "No, Mom, you click this," and I'm like, "Well, then you do it." Like it wasn't going.
My
well.
7-year-old is the same way. She's way more savvy
Oh,
than I
yeah,
am, and
he's
that's
like-
terrifying.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
it is. It
Mhm.
is. I mean, we just didn't grow up, doing it that early. Like we were playing the Oregon Trail.
And we weren't accessible.
grade.
That's what's terrifying
Right.
for me as a parent.
I
My kids
know.
are very accessible.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're covering that topic.
We are. And I have so many friends, like I know we're just chatting at this point, but teacher friends who are saying like, I'm not going to give my kids a phone with like internet until they're X age. And just the fact that like mentally what that does to them as kids, it's scary.
I hope we swing that
we
way.
think
We
that
need to.
we feel out of control sometimes, but it's like terrifying to think that we didn't even grow up like this.
No.
I mean, I even look at my parents and like now that my dad's like, on his phone, he's always like sitting there scrolling for sports stuff. And, he never even used to be on his phone.
No, I know. On a personal level, when you were talking about sitting there with, holding hands and doing that, that's what I love to do with my clients too. I like to be, I call it knees to knees, where we're right in front of each other. What does that feel like when you come away from that, having helped somebody? Because when you resonate with somebody, you help them to heal.
Literally, when I talk about it, I have to be very short in how I talk about it, because I could cry, or I get chills every time.
Crying is okay.
Well,
we
I
do
love
that here.
crying, but I'm just not going to lose it here.
We do that here.
No, but I honestly, how does it
It's such a
feel? I
gift.
honestly can't put it into words. I feel like it's totally a God thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very, very, again, I'm getting chills and I could cry about it. I feel like I went through postpartum depression. It was the darkest time of my life. It was for 6 months. I asked for help and no one helped me. Like, I asked for help from the OB. I asked for help from the pediatrician. They told me I had the baby blues and I was a nervous mom. 6 months.
Wow.
6 months.
Wow. That wasn't very long ago. You're young.
It
So
wasn't
I
very
would
long.
think
It
maybe
was
way back.
7 years ago.
Goodness.
And my husband at the time had just finished his fellowship. We were living in Atlanta. I knew no one. I was on an island. And I just remember telling him, I'm like, something is not right. This is not me. I would go to the grocery store and just cry in the middle of an aisle. So that's all to say, with that experience of mine, I feel like God honestly, like, sat me down and was like, I know that you can't just walk away from this.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you can't walk away from this. So you have to do something with it. Because I was always in corporate America. I lived in New York City for 7 years, was very competitive. I always thought I would be in business development. That was like my thing. And I became a mom, and the universe had other plans for me, the entire time. So when I get to sit with a mom, or even on Instagram, I am so active on my business Instagram because it is good stuff. It is very good. It is very positive. It is very relatable. And I have moms all day reach out to me and just give me their story or send me messages. And I get to even that. I mean, I'm like, is this
That's
my
amazing.
life? Do I really get to do this for a living? And my business has been successful for 6.5 years. If that
Because
isn't
there is such a need.
but if that isn't like a God thing, it's like,
Well, you took all of the pain and you put in power.
And I didn't even
Put in
do
power,
everyone.
yeah.
I was doing a podcast interview on Monday, and he was like, how did you come up with your business plan? I'm like, there wasn't a business plan. There was a journal that I would read over and over again about this mom who I can look back at now and just want to give a big hug to and like help and pull out of this hole. Journaling, because that's what I started doing. I journaled, this is how I'm feeling today. These are the thoughts I have in my head, and I know that these are not normal thoughts and they scare me. Mm-hmm. How am I going to come out of this? So
that's even scary to put down, because I remember the
it's so
questionnaires when the doctors were much more proactively giving them to me with the third, with Bo, the past 2 years than with Bennett. I actually don't think I had anything with Bennett.
I didn't have a questionnaire with Livy.
So with Bo, this was 2019, it was his pediatrician and then my OB, and I had to come into 2 different appointments and fill out these questions. And I remember I lied because I was like, oh my God, they're going to lock me up.
Do you know how many women? But do you know how many women?
I'd be like, she's unfit. She's insane.
But why didn't anyone tell you?
I'm fine
about the process. Like, that's another thing.
Right.
Sending the mom home, not telling her about any process. Like, hey, you're going to go home and this is how it's going to feel, and you're not going to sleep and your nipples are going to fall off. Yeah. And when we give you that questionnaire, it's to make sure you're okay. And we really want to know, like, but you're safe with us.
I think it was just like embarrassing, and I felt like ashamed. And I'm like, why aren't, like, I was fine with my other 2. Like, what is this? Like, what is happening with me right now?
That would be really hard to have the first 2 go so well and the third be that. That would be really hard.
Mm-hmm. And the third was just completely different in every way. From delivery, which I know the chances increase postpartum if you have like a really, challenging delivery, and it was terrible. But anyway, so yeah, it was definitely weird. And I remember the question that the OB, I love her. So it's not, she said, what postpartum is basically in a nutshell is, this is the question. If I were to put Bo in his car seat on the chair up here, what would you think? And I was like, I mean, that's stupid. Mm-hmm. I didn't think too much of it. She's like, okay, well, if you have postpartum, what you would probably really think is like, he's going to fall, he's going to get brain damage, he's going to do this. And I was like, oh, well, that's not what I thought. I just thought it was stupid.
I wish it was that simple.
Right. So I didn't relate to that. And then I was like, and I feel very attached to my son, so I don't have postpartum. So I would like kind of like argue with myself, even though I knew it's not normal to not be able to get up and brush your teeth.
Sure.
Have you run into, and I know this because I have a person that I talked to when I first moved here that was going through this. Have you had anybody that's had any legal issues because of their postpartum where their children were removed from them or taken away from them?
Oh my goodness. I don't personally, but there is an account I follow that focuses
She's still
on
fighting
it.
for her kids.
Oh my
That
God.
focuses on it. And yes,
it wasn't recognized.
I know many stories. And again,
I'm wondering if you'd seen any of that.
not personally, but you know, I donate
like
to
a
this
really good
fund
question.
and like follow it, but I can't follow it that much because I'm like,
It's overwhelming.
it's overwhelming, and I almost feel like a voyeur at that point. You know, there's like
well,
a
it's
fine
almost
line.
outside of your wheelhouse too.
And then,
I mean,
like,
you've
how
got
can
your
I
niche.
help,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
And
that's more of a legal thing, but I've seen it and it's frightening.
I'm so glad that you brought. You should
But
do a
it is
podcast on that
scary.
and bring moms in.
Yeah.
That's happened to. There are
I
so
can bring
many.
her on.
But there's
you know?
so many. They literally. I know of one mom, not personally, but she was in the hospital, had a very traumatic birth. Was checking out of the hospital. They decided that she was not well. Her husband didn't look the part. They took the baby away from her. They took and sent her home without her baby. And if you look that up, it happens all the time.
Like, because physically they look unfit.
I think that it could be a list of things. This particular case was the mom didn't seem 100% okay. The birth was very traumatic. Okay, that's not her fault. The dad looked rough. Like the dad just, didn't look the part. And they assessed the family and thought it would be better to take the baby away. So this woman documents having to pump her breasts, save the breast milk, if and when she gets her baby back. She just got her baby back and he was 8 months old.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So that's
this is stuff
that
that's a question. I said that kind of, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to put me in a hospital. But there's a little bit with this conversation that's actually scary because it doesn't let you open up the way you need to, which would then maybe not get you the help you need.
Well, the things that she did, because you do outrageous things with postpartum.
Oh,
you really do.
Absolutely
were used
do.
against her in court. And
that makes
she's
my
still fighting.
blood boil.
She's still fighting, and she's an incredible
You should bring
woman.
her on.
I know, we really
Something
should.
we might, that's
a
the
good
next
topic.
level. Yeah.
It is
Yes.
the next level. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I know. I hope that this conversation just, and I think it needs to happen. I've been really proactive with people I know who are having their first kids now. I'm like, just signs to look for, because not to over explain it, but what you might think postpartum is might not be it, and it might not just be the blues. So
I have a really good recommendation with keeping a pulse on newly postpartum moms. Someone own a meal train, and when they deliver the meals, pop in.
Yeah.
Pop in. Just if the mom's okay with it. I tell all of my clients, I ask them, hey, do you have someone that can put together a meal train for you? And if not, I will do that. I've put together hundreds of meal trains because I think at the very least, they're getting a meal. It's one less thing for them to worry about. But if they're okay with it, someone can walk in and just sit with them for a minute. Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? What can I do for you?
I will say, for me, I remember I didn't let my friends come in. I was like, I'm not up for a conversation. I'm not doing it. So I'm not, no.
Yeah.
And I would put the meals off. I'm like, no, I'm not getting the house ready. I'm not brushing my teeth. I'm not doing
So
this.
I have a group of friends. We made a pact probably 2 years ago because I think we all do that we weren't going to ask, we were going to tell. So one of our dear, dear friends just had a baby a few months ago. And we all had a powwow and we were like, we're not going to ask her. We're just going to tell her because she will never ask. She's that personality. So we were like, on this day, we're dropping this off. On this day, we're going to come hold the baby so that you can shower. On this day, so-and-so. I mean, I think that also needs to happen.
That's true.
If you're close enough with that person. I mean, it can't be some, an acquaintance. I wouldn't feel comfortable having an acquaintance in my home if I was, a week out.
Don't ask.
You've got to tell these moms because we're all these women and we're so complicated and we never want to ask for help. We always want to do it ourselves. But I feel like if anyone is a safe space for you, it's your girlfriends, your little trust tree.
Yeah. And it's hard when you're in that like very, very vulnerable place and you see your friends come in and you're like, oh my gosh, they can't relate to any of this. Look at them. They probably just went to the gym. They're like wonderful and great. And look at me. I'm falling apart.
But
and
that's
tired. And
their job to sit down and be like, I'm here. I love you. What can I do for you?
This
you know,
is such a
here's
season.
food. Eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you need a shower?
Right.
I like Trust Tree.
I know.
I like that. My little trust
Circle of
tree.
Trust. What's that?
Trust Tree.
Meet the parents. Yeah, Circle of Trust or whatever. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
This
for
was amazing.
I love
having
having
me.
you. I love having you.
Thank
on.
you so much for having me. You know, I could talk about this for hours. I really just appreciate you
Of
putting it
course.
out there. And
I
I just
know.
hope that
She's
it
such
can
a great
help.
resource. And like, where can everyone find you?
So the website is thepeaceofmindproject.co. Honestly, I always say go to our Instagram handle, peaceofmindproject.co, because there's so many resources there. You can message me there. And I also give out my personal phone number, which is 864-320-8049. Text me. Please text me. I don't care what time it is. I will always be there to answer any questions that you have.
No creepers.
No creepers. That's not happened yet. Knock on wood.
That's awesome. That's so personal.
It is. It's great.
What a gift. Wow.
You two are wonderful. I just love you both. So thank you again for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening and tuning in and your continued support. And we want to thank our sponsors. We have Amber McCall, not Amber, you're Amber. Amanda McCall with Prime Lending, Nest Realty, Parham with Archenhold, Blackacre Law, Bodyworks, and Browning Studio, our sponsors. So thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time.